Welcome back, everybody, to the Exit Row. I'm your host, Adama Anderson, here with Justin Moore.
Oh, hey, how's it going? How we doing?
Hey, and Paige and Larson.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Thank you for joining me on this podcast today.
Hey, sorry about that.
You guys wanted to turn your backs on me? Jeez.
Oh,
Just had some business to take care of in the back.
No, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Had some pre-pod, warm-ups had to get done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
The pre-pod.
Thank you.
Yep.
This is episode number 23.
Wow.
And
Crazy.
it looks like our video count is going through the roof now. Well, not through the roof, but it's
It's
improving.
getting better
So that's
If the roof is very small, then yes.
comparatively.
it's
It's one of those tiny houses.
Yes, it's a tiny house. So
Those tiny houses.
yeah, so we have had an eventful last 3 weeks. Really, it all came down to the big LAX trip that we did,
Yep.
We all went back to where it all began.
where it all began.
Not really.
Exactly.
But, you know what I mean?
That was episode 2.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of
Yeah.
Oh, it kind of was, yeah.
Yeah.
That's back where we feel most comfortable is home.
Yes,
Second home. Yeah.
Yeah.
that is our second home, I think. So we all took 3 different routes to get to LAX.
Naturally.
Yep, that just
As usual.
how it works. And I'll go ahead and talk about.
Chronologically, you would be first.
Yes. So I left first. I left on a Tuesday, and I flew out to Minneapolis and got over to Madison, Wisconsin. Now,
Interesting choice.
Why would I go to Madison, Wisconsin, right?
Yeah. Why would you?
Yeah. What the
Yeah.
heck?
Yeah. I asked the questions here. No.
For those of you asking, why
Yeah.
would you go to Madison?
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
So let's talk about that breeze. So first off, this trip I wanted to take every single American-based A3 or A220
Oh, that's right.
that's out there. So that and that's JetBlue, Breeze, and Delta. So this was my way to get my breeze on, right? So I flew to Madison, Wisconsin, and so Breeze, what they do is they have Breeze, I don't know, it's a breeze through is what they call it, where it's a stopover like Southwest,
Makes sense. I like it.
right? So I flew into Madison, Wisconsin, nice little airport, little homegrown, you betcha. I got a you betcha.
The definition of a regional airport, right?
Yep.
Smoley cute.
And that's the flight had started in Orlando on that Wednesday and came into Madison, Wisconsin. So my way to get to LAX because it was a direct flight to LAX. So, yeah.
Meaning some people got off, some people got on.
There you go. There you go. And I guess it's a very common occurrence for Madison to get these breeze flights because I had heard the one of the flight attendants go, "We'll see you tomorrow," or something like that. So a different route. But
I just think of the people that were on there from Orlando had to stop in Madison.
right.
Right. Yeah.
It's
That's
a long day, man.
Yep.
You know,
I'm sure it was worth it for, probably a price point or something, but
you betcha.
I do wonder who got off. I do wonder how many people got off and got on.
I think it was a pretty full flight,
Right.
actually leaving Madison, Wisconsin. So
But you weren't the only one boarding in Madison, right?
correct, I was not
Right.
the only one. So I decided they have a 3-tier system: nice, nicer, and nicest. So I got in the nicest, which is their
And that's not a joke. That's literally what it is,
correct.
which is
Yeah.
funny.
right.
And so I got in there the nicest, which is their equivalent to first class. So I get on the aircraft. First off, it was supposed to be the day before. It was supposed to be like a brand new aircraft, like less than a year old. But then it got moved to a very older aircraft. And A220 life, it was only 5 years old, so it wasn't really that old.
The 300, right? 300?
Yes, it was a 300. And so I got there. The boarding process was relatively easy and quick, and obviously being in that nicest part, I was one of the first ones on. It was a 2-2 up in the first class area. I don't remember the rest of it. I think it's 3-3.
I believe so on those A220s.
Yeah.
If it's 2-2 in first, it's at least 2-3.
Or 2-3. And so I get in there. The first thing I noticed was that the aircraft, it was leased by the Bank of Utah. Now,
Interesting.
you
That is
say
interesting.
how do you know that?
I was just saying that.
There you go.
Yeah.
There is an actual placard at the entrance of the aircraft that coming on, and I'm like, That's very odd. I know that I've seen on ADSB that some flights are leased by Bank of Utah, is what it says.
That's their headquarters.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Isn't it Provo or something? Isn't that where
Yes, I believe you're
Breeze's
correct.
headquarters? Provo.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, yeah, it was just odd that there was a placard, kind of a, there was just a
That
placard
is
at
odd.
the door,
Maybe we're getting on an American flight and seeing like Bank of the West.
right?
Right.
Right.
Ooh, Bank of the West.
Right.
There you go.
Nice deep pull right there.
So I get on the aircraft. Right before we take off, they say, "Hey, we just want to let you know that the Wi-Fi doesn't work on this aircraft."
Oh, great.
And
Lovely.
that's one of the perks of being in the first class part is you got the free Wi-Fi, unlike the back of the aircraft where you actually had to pay for it.
And you're about to embark on a 4-hour flight.
Yes,
You're going to need something to do.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness. So great that the Wi-Fi was out. So I'm like, all right, that's one less thing that I have to get to experience. So you also get like free drinks, alcoholic drinks, free snacks, and like the snacks are like actually pretty big bags of chips and stuff. It's not
Oh, wow.
the thing that you get for your
Your typical snack pack.
there you go.
So that was just for first, not for any of the other classes.
It was for first, but everybody else behind could have actually paid for those exact bags.
Oh, gotcha.
And the drinks and all that. So we take off out of Madison, Wisconsin, go over the state capitol, because Madison is the capital of Wisconsin, I think.
Boom.
It's not W, right?
The Badgers.
So, yeah. Oh, yeah, by the way, that airport, they literally had, like, they were selling everything. Like, they had that Badger, Wisconsin Badger logo and the Green Bay Packers and all sorts of stuff inside that airport.
Just a bunch of crappy
Really
gear.
trying
No one
to
wants that
sell.
stuff.
Right.
So we take off, we fly.
We take off. We're flying.
We're flying. Hey, guys.
At this point, we're
We
flying.
take off and we forgot to fly.
We're up in the air.
At this point, we're flying. Continue.
So we end up flying.
The plane is propelling through the air.
It's so bad right now.
And is doing such a good job.
Hey guys, this is gonna be a great podcast.
Yay, BB.
So yeah, I get my pack or
long
my
hour.
I get my whatever. I don't know what I got for a snack.
We understood. Move on.
Drink. The drink. I think I only got a Coke Zero because it was a little bit early in the morning and I didn't want to have an alcoholic
You
drink.
didn't want to be that guy. Understood.
Exactly.
Like on our Minneapolis flight, who had the 6
4 years. Count them. 4.
4, yeah.
You know who you are.
Before I even finished my drink, the guy had already replaced my drink. I was like, I'm not
Nice.
even ready for this. Like, okay, but it's weird you're stalking me. No, I'm kidding.
How did they do it? Because I'm always curious now. Did you get the full can?
No.
Gotcha. But at least he would replenish you.
It was a plastic cup, right? And I kind of was like, if I had paid $4 for a plastic cup of that Coke, I'm not getting the full can. I would have been a little bit upset about that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah.
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 I mean, ever since I've been given the full can, now it's quite disappointing when you're not given it, honestly.
Yeah.
So, there was that. The seats were relatively comfortable. There was, however, it needed some cleaning because there was some nastiness near the window seat that I was at there. The center console, there was gum. There was actually like literal gum in there. There was
Literal gum.
also a piece of gum, like the with the wrapper, like there. Just
What the
like,
heck?
They didn't clean it really well, and I
Are
was
there
like,
IFEs on this or no?
no.
No IFEs.
There was no IFEs. They had a in the back seat in front of you. They had an area where you could put your tablet on, so you could watch whatever you're watching. However, the guy in front of me in first class just kept putting his seat back, which then my iPad flipped a few times, and that happened.
You've always got
Oh
something
my
going on
gosh.
with your iPad. Like you've either
Right.
got something happening to you or the guy next to you. Something
Oh,
with your
God.
iPad.
Oh, we're going to talk about that with the Delta flight on the way back.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So.
Oh,
Join us in about
yeah.
50 minutes.
But yeah, so we make it to LA, no issues. We got to the Tom Bradley terminal.
Oh, that's right. They go in the new hottest club, as Kevin says, the Westgates.
Yeah.
Awesome. It was so wonderful. Minus the fact that you had to get on a bus to get back to the main terminal, Terminal 1. But what's great about that is you do get to drive right next
Yep.
to planes.
Right.
That's why I've always talked about flying on that American nonstop, because you get to get down the tarmac. Yep.
It's great. And I did notice that when I was next to two Volaris, if I said it correctly.
Valeri.
Valara.
Plural. Two
Right.
Valeras are Valeri.
There you go. And one of them had a North American registration, and the other had the Mexican
Oh
registration.
yeah, I
XA.
remember that.
Oh, weird. That's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Weird.
So I don't know if it was wet leased or
That's what I was gonna
if it
say.
was
It
just
was in the
Release.
Valaris livery, though.
yeah, yeah, and you could tell it was weird because it had like a tape over it, and it looked like N whatever it
Did
was.
they have the flag on it? Or was it just the registration? Do you remember?
It was the registration. I don't remember if the Mexican flag was on it or the American flag, but
Yeah, I don't remember that in the picture either, but
yeah,
That is a cool little factoid.
yeah, it was different. So, and when I was there was another Breeze aircraft that was there, so they do have
Breeze I've always kind of not alluded to, but kind of put in the same category as Allegiant in terms of destinations. They're just kind of like those one-off destinations.
yeah.
they're
Like
trying
they
to
fly
get you
into Phoenix, but it's AZA. They're
Yeah.
flying to Orlando, but it's the other one.
or like Avelo, you're headed to New Haven, Connecticut.
Yeah, that was the other one I was thinking of. Those three, they go to those one-off destinations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might not be the biggest city in the state. It's probably the second or third biggest city in the state.
So that was Breeze. Paige, you came in the next day.
I came in on Thursday on Adama's favorite airline, United.
Round of applause for United.
Son of a-
So I took the A320 out of Omaha. Pretty uneventful flight. It started off by being I was in economy, and
Gross.
one thing I actually didn't tell you guys was that kind of like
How
your
dare you.
experience, Justin. It's actually exactly like your experience.
My
Someone was sitting in my seat when I got on the flight, but he just had the rows mixed up, but he was really nice about it and moved. That flight wasn't too
I
eventful,
wish my guy had that. But anyway.
right?
So
Aileron.
he just couldn't read? He was illiterate?
I mean, we all make mistakes, but
Well,
for
there's
the
a difference.
sake of yeah.
Wait, so was
I
he
mean,
far off? Sorry, not to break
No.
into this too much. Was
Oh
he
no, he was just right up in front of me.
okay. It's one thing when it's like, oh, this is row 3. I'm in 21.
Yeah,
How did we
right.
figure that one out?
Wait, are we at a sports stadium and you're just
I've
choosing
seen,
your
I've
spot?
seen someone who thinks that the first class seat is open and they can just sit there, and then they're blown away when someone shows up to their seat.
Oh,
the heck?
What?
I've seen that happen a couple times.
They think it's Southwest and they can sit anywhere.
It's kind of interesting. They're like, "Well, I sat here first," and I'm like, "Right," and now you don't. Anyway, continue.
But now I sit here. Flight was good. Flew into Denver.
Obviously.
Good airports. Aileron got her own seat. The middle seat was open.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, whoa, you paid for a seat
You
for
paid.
aileron?
No.
Although I think that day's coming. Anyway,
We'll see about
keep
that.
it moving.
On Bark Air.
Oh, what's the name of
Yes.
the one? Pup Air? Isn't there Pup Air?
No, it's
Bark
Bark Air.
Oh, is it Bark Air?
Yeah,
That
I-
literally moves dogs.
Yes.
Like, to shelters and
Yeah,
whatnot.
and
Yeah.
it was right there at LAX. There was an actual
The
picture of
billboard.
the billboard.
Yeah. So I get to Denver. I have some time to sit on the patio for a little bit.
Mac and cheese, Jamba Juice, the scene.
The scene, yeah. Except I was on the United terminal, so I didn't have all that. So I had to settle, but it's okay. I lived. You know. But then
I'm sure. Never mind.
Then came the long-awaited 757-300. Ooh.
The 300, right? The true pencil.
Yes.
This is what you were waiting for.
Yeah.
So you said you got switched to a Continental livery, but you ended up on Evo Blue, right?
Yeah, so that was actually going to be my next point. It was Evo Blue for the entire time leading up to it. Switched to Continental the day of, and then switched back to Evo Blue. But I got to my gate. Actually, we were ready to board, and then they switched our gate. New plane.
So what it was it the Continental? Like the one you were about to board?
No, that one was Evo Blue.
okay, gotcha.
And then the next one was Evo Blue.
So
But
you
yeah, I
switched planes or just gates?
both.
Wow, that's
I
pretty.
got I was walking up, and all of a sudden I get a notification from Flighty and United. Oh, your gate's changed. And luckily it was just right across the way. But I was like, okay, well I'm already here, and we're boarding in like 10 minutes. So,
It's
but
kind of funny to see people as they get the notification and just kind of migrate.
yeah.
Bing, 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 bing,
Right?
bing, bing, bing.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, where is it? Oh, okay, it's right there.
And I remember you saying, Justin, how long it took to board that plane. Yes.
Long.
And there was
time.
so many people just filling this space.
I believe
like,
the 757-300 has 172 rows.
right? Long boy.
It does take a long time though, right?
Yeah. So I was actually at one of the brand new gates at Denver, and I got one of those like really big, like one of the really big seats, like super comfortable. Like
At the gates you're talking about?
yes,
Yeah, I was
I guess I
about to say,
don't know,
not the
I
aircraft.
don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I haven't seen these.
it's like brand new within the last. I think it was in the
Are they
last.
similar to like those new gates at the Southwest terminal, like those newer ones in Denver? Like they're kind of like
Kind of, yeah. But yeah, it was like a big, like reclining chair, like big, huge plush, just huge. It was like a first class experience at the gate, basically.
Oh,
feeling like a lounge, but not a lounge,
Exactly. So if you're going to be waiting forever to board,
right?
best to be there.
go to Denver.
Exactly.
Boarding.
So we're boarding. I get on, and my seatmate sits next to me.
Aileron.
Yes, the best seatmate there ever could be. And then the middle seater comes in, and this is going to be a little bit of a prelude to Paige's polls this week. He sits down, and
As one does.
yes, and he immediately starts nodding off, like seconds after putting his seatbelt on. I'm like, homeboy's had a long day. And I suspect that he was maybe coming from somewhere overseas because he was another nationality. He didn't speak a lot of English. He couldn't really communicate well with the flight attendants. So I figured maybe he came from overseas or something.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so we're pushing back, and he really starts to nod. Like his head is just falling all over the place, and this guy is not waking up. I'm like, how?
Possibly dead.
I was wondering if we were going to have to, press that call button and be like, hey, woo, we got an issue. We can't.
We've got a body.
One less soul, but still the body.
How many souls on board? There's one less now.
There's one less. Exactly.
Well, we've got an open seat though.
I was getting a little bit concerned because it was a little bit unnatural. And so we're taxiing.
Because he's nodding off on you, as you said, right? Like,
Yeah. So, yeah. His head starts kind of going towards me. And of course, I'm at the window. And I say out of the corner of my eye, I'm kind of looking over. I'm like, don't you do it.
Oh.
I'm like, please don't. Because.
Oh, he's going to
And-
do it.
And it happened. He fell asleep completely. His head smashes into my shoulder. His hair was in my face. He didn't wake up. And I was just like, oh, get off me. Like,
person by chance in the aisle notice what's going on?
I would assume that they did.
Like, hey, help me out here. Like,
I know. I was like,
and with you're on a 757-300 for the first time, trying to enjoy this, and you got homeboy. sleeping
exactly. And I was
on you.
afraid. I was afraid that it was going to ruin my experience. And I nudged him off, and he was like, oh. He just kind of looked at me and didn't say anything. And I was just kind of like looking, kind of like a side eye, like,
You're like, yeah, my bad. Like, what?
right? And so he sleeps through the entire takeoff, and I don't understand how anybody can do that. But it was a pretty turbulent takeoff because we were flying over the mountains and such, and it was a windy day.
And it's Denver.
There was a
Yeah.
lot of excitement in the air as well.
I wouldn't call it that.
You're on the 757-300. You're not telling me you weren't a little
Oh,
bit.
that yes.
Oh, that's
The
what
guy
I meant,
next
yeah.
to me, not excitement, but
Oh,
yes,
right. I just
definitely.
meant you. Yeah,
Okay,
you
okay.
provided enough.
Yeah. But yeah, he was sleeping throughout the whole entire flight. So thankfully never slept on me again. But like your experience with Breeze, no internet. And they tried restarting it and it just didn't work out. But I was like, okay, whatever, I had my podcast, I had my music, and I was on a 757-300, so
Right. Worst case scenario. Here we are. Right.
Exactly. And now on my flight into Denver, and I thought maybe it was just because it was a short flight, economy was only allowed to have water. Like they came around with a tray of waters. And I was
Already pre-poured waters. I always find that odd too, by the way. But
I
anyway,
know.
Like, what did you do to this?
Yeah. So I thought, okay, it's just like a one-off thing, and it was just because it was a short flight. So I get on my 757 expecting that I can have some celebratory champagne for the occasion.
The Prosecco.
Champagne.
Yeah. And then guess what they come through the aisle with?
Sparkling water?
A tray of not sparkling waters.
Hashtag tap.
I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And this was a 2.5-hour flight also, mind you. And through your flight back, which we'll get to later, and realizing that economy for United, you're only allowed to have water. You have to be premium economy or above to even have a soda.
Oh, right. Yeah, we did discover that. Yeah, because I was offered full service in the premium economy for my flight. But then when I did that next flight, yeah, I was offered just the tap.
Yeah. And so I was a little bit shocked by that. As far as service from the flight, yeah, I figured.
I'm not.
I figured you
I was
would
like,
be.
no.
you chose United.
You're lucky they gave you tap water.
Yeah. They just didn't want you to die, okay?
They probably would have just given you a glass of air, be like, "Hey, you're oxygenated at least." You know.
By
be
the way, that's
grateful.
$5.
Right. Service was great though. Flight attendants were great. Pilots were great. The flight attendant, as I was boarding the 757, saw aileron. I have a little necklace that I hook her to.
A leash.
Yes. And she loved her, and she was like, "If there's anywhere on the plane if you want to put her, then we'll take her anywhere you want." And I was like, "Can she sit up in the cockpit after the flight?" And they're like, "Oh yeah." And so
Well, during the flight as well.
Yeah.
Aileron, yeah.
Can I get
that's true. That's true. I should have done that. Yeah.
But yeah, you did get in there, right? Because you just posted a picture, I believe.
Yeah. So we got in the cockpit. We were able to
This
look
is
around.
post-flight or pre-flight?
Post-flight.
Post-flight,
Yep.
gotcha. So we're in LAX. Nice.
Yeah. Yep. We're in LAX, and I got a picture of aileron kind of on the headrest of the captain's seat on the 757. And I got my picture taken kind of like in the hallway with the cockpit in the background as well. So great experience overall with the 757. I love that plane. 10 out of 10. Would fly it again.
Nice. Yeah. Long boy. Long boy.
Long boy. Yes.
Super
the longest
long.
boy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got a picture of you. I got a picture of your aircraft because I was already at the H hotel waiting for you.
Oh, yeah.
And for you.
And this was my first north side arrival, which is why I specifically.
I remember I was tracking you.
Yeah.
You went north of the Chino dot.
Heck yeah.
North.
Yep, I remember you saying that. And I knew immediately, pretty quickly, that I was going north side. And I picked that side, that left side of the plane, for that reason. And it was just so cool.
So you can look down at the in and out for sure.
Yeah. Well, looking at the H was.
Oh, you
Yeah,
were on
looking
the
at the
side. You were
H.
Yeah,
the
if
side,
I was
my
on the
bad.
right side, I was looking in and out. But I could see it out the other side, actually.
Reverse
of the plane,
ops
because I
would've
could
been.
see. Yes. But yeah, being able to see the H from that perspective, from actually being in the plane.
Even better knowing that you know someone that's literally standing up there. It's
Right.
kind of crazy.
I know.
It's one thing to like see it, but knowing that you knew someone that was standing up there is kind of funny.
Standing up there photographing your arrival, and it was just.
Yeah.
It was a pinnacle moment because not only was I flying this aircraft that I'd wanted to fly for so long, I'm landing in LAX, so let's be honest here, you know.
Vibes are high.
Always
is.
great.
Yeah, and
Tap water's offered. Vibes are high.
it didn't even matter at that point.
Oh.
But one of the things that was cool, because I took a video of my landing, because I was towards the back of the plane, so when we landed, you could actually see the tire smoke out my window.
Ooh, nice.
There-
Yeah.
Yeah, and you hit the ground first before the people in the front hit the ground.
Yep.
So, especially with a long boy like that.
Long boy. Yes. Long boy. Good plane. 10 out of 10. Would fly again.
Maybe not United.
Well, premium economy United, maybe.
There's only one other U.S. carrier, and that's Delta that's got the 300s.
Yep.
The 757s. Yeah. I miss the American. You don't realize until it's gone, right? How much you do miss
I know.
certain aircraft.
Yeah.
I think that's the only other carrier. At least, your stateside.
Now that New Pacific has
You
gone
did.
by the wayside.
Which I did, meant to tell you, I did see New Pacific when I did land the first day at LAX.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Must
they
have
had
been
one there.
chartering or
and
something.
then it was gone the next day. So yeah, great. All right.
So now you're there. So you're there and you're there. That only leaves
Yep.
me not
Yes, not there waiting, but you had
Yeah.
a special good reason to, and that was a funny story.
And my BB saved you, honestly.
Well,
So
let him
I'll
tell
W.
the story. You just totally gave it
Excuse
away.
me.
Wow, Paige.
Sorry, the people that know.
Okay, I gave
people
the
that
whole
already know
story
know.
away.
Right. Well, see, she actually didn't because when she refers to her BB, that could be one of anything.
Anything.
That could be literally anything.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah. Oh,
So anyway, so you guys are in LAX. I'm due in shortly. So I came in. Originally was coming in Friday. Ended up coming in Saturday.
Yeah, you
attended-
ditched us.
Yeah, later, dudes. Peace. For good reason, and would do it easily again. Just FYI. So attended Game 4 of the NBA Finals with brother Adam. Shout out to the A's down in Texas. So let's see. So I think it goes without saying that you two typically have issues like when you whether you you ask for them or not, you two have something happen to your flight. I normally have things go pretty smoothly. Would you say?
I think so.
I would say things typically go smooth. Like there's
Paige usually has the issues.
right. If anyone has an issue, it's not me. Usually, I guess is what I'm saying. Like usually things are pretty much point A to point B, done deal. However, Friday was a different story.
Yeah.
So the original plan was to go Omaha
About
DFW.
time.
Wrong time.
I know, it really was.
Wrong time to have an issue. Of all the times to fly, like this was not the time. But
This is why I asked for your information for Flighty, because I'm like, I want to track you.
yeah, I mean, for fun, but not to stress everyone else out as
Yeah.
well. That became an extremely stressful day. So original plan was OMA to DFW. It was like a 9:45 flight. We'll get in 11:30. You know, have a whole day ahead of me to hang out with the brother. You know, do some pre-gaming, hang out with the family, whatnot. Instead, just fast forward a little bit. I get there literally 2 hours before tip-off. It did end up working out perfectly at the end of the day. But what had happened was it was one of those mornings where you wake up and you immediately have a notification saying a delay, which is what it is. At the time, it was only an hour delay. I'm like, hey, that's fine.
And it's a morning flight, right?
So it was a 9:45 departure. So it was, at this point, it was only backed up to 10:30. I'm like, not a problem. So I did get a ride from Randall. Shout out Randall.
Shout out Randall.
He hooked up a ride to the airport, but ended up getting delayed a little further. So I was like, you know what? Just come back at a later time because unfortunately I'm not leaving anymore until now 12:30. So got to the airport about 12:30 because at this point got there about 11:30 because at this point we were supposed to be leaving about 12:30. So checked in, got down to the gate. 12:30 now becomes 3:30 departure. All right, so now we are starting to panic a little bit. Things were good. Things were gravy up until that 3:30 text came through. Like, I'll never forget getting that notification because I saw a 3:30 departure, and I was like, well, that's it. I literally, like, my heart sank. In all honesty, my heart sank.
imagine.
Like, I was attending what was, I've been blessed enough to go to a lot of great sporting events, and this was definitely top 2, if not the top one that I've ever been to. So, like, I mean, was devastated at the time. Like, I knew it wasn't over, but a 3:30 departure, it was one of those where it just kept getting worse and worse. Like, I mean, at some point, this is going to cancel because of crew. Like, it's just not looking good, obviously. And like I said, of all the days to have an issue. So, I mean, I was texting Adama at the time. I mean, you were unfortunately seeing the events unfold live.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, ironically, Southwest has, like, I believe it was a 2:25 departure. Ironically, that flight only happened to be about a third full, believe it or not, at that time. So, bought a ticket on Southwest. This goes back to Paige's BB saving the day.
My BB.
So, bought a ticket. At this point, I've never been in a situation ever where I bought a ticket for a flight hours before departure. I've never bought a ticket.
While at the airport.
While sitting at the airport.
Yeah.
Which I believe was a pretty rare case at that point. And not only was buying a ticket at the airport, sitting in the airport, past security buying a ticket, but I had now 2 tickets to Dallas, one to DFW and one to Dallas Love Field. It was more like, which plane wants to get me there first? Because at this point, the American flight still had not left Dallas, just like some background on that. It was just mechanical issues. There's an A320, a couple of A320s at this point that just ran into just God knows what they called mechanical issues. Just kind of just snowballed on top of each other. So, booked the Southwest flight, got my bag because I checked it. So then I had to reacquire the bag, which was not hard. Just had to ask him for it. But then I made the rare walk from one terminal to the next.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
literally never. I would like to say I've made some OMA history here. I'm not gonna say I'm the only one, but I would like to think there's not many of us that have been through security at both gates in the same day.
The same day.
In the same day. Both North Terminal and South Terminal, I went through security at both. So I still had the American ticket booked because I just knew the moment I booked that Southwest, then that would get hit with a delay.
Yep.
So I kept them both until I was on at least one of the planes. So Southwest, luckily, who knew the Southwest flight would come through and be on time? Like out of nowhere, the one time you need a Southwest flight.
Who knew, right?
Right.
I wouldn't have guessed that. Not me. So ended up getting on that plane, just kind of to sum things up here. Got to Dallas Love Field, not Fort Worth. But luckily, it's a big city. Luckily, my brother can change his plans pretty quickly, too. Shout out to him for changing the so-called Uber location, if you want to call it. But yeah, no, saved the day. Ended up attending the finals. It was incredible. It was a stressful day, like maybe one of the more stressful travel itineraries I've had in a long time. I usually don't freak out about too much, but when that 3:30 delay came through, I was like, I told my brother, I was drafting up a text being like, have fun with your son tonight at the game, because I ain't going to make it. Because I ain't going to make it tonight. But we did. Hey, we saw the Mavs win by, 82 points?
Yeah, that was a crazy game too.
Yeah.
What a game to go to.
Right.
Didn't get to see a championship, which was my ideal scenario. But hey, at the end of the day, I made it. I was attending the finals. For a while, it was looking very grim for a long time. And I'm sure I'm not going to have another issue, for another 5 years until I have to get somewhere at a certain
Right.
point.
Right.
But actually, like I said, it worked perfectly. I got in about 4:30, and it was just a couple hours before the game, so it was enough time to get downtown to the arena, walk around, get properly lubricated, and attend the game. So, great time. Questions?
Question.
Oh, wait, I went to
Yeah.
LAX.
How did you get to LAX?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I also
Oh,
went to
look
LA.
at me, mister. I went to the NBA Finals.
I'm not gonna lie, that was the highlight of the week. There's only so many things that can come second to an LAX spotting trip, and this was definitely one of them. But then the next morning, woke up, hung out with the family a little bit. Shout out family. Then took an A321 DFW to LAX. Of course, leave on time because obviously, not even a 2-minute delay. Can't even get 1 minute delay. I mean, I was ready for it. I was like, here comes. If it was even an hour delay, I'd be like, fine, doesn't matter. But then came through LAX. Let's see, what did I do? You guys were going Galaxy game. So I saw you for a little bit before.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because you guys did see me come in. You were at Proudbird, right?
Yeah, we were at Proudbird.
Yeah.
Proudbird being famous, by the way. We'll get to that.
We saw, yes. We were going to get to that in the second part. of this episode.
Yeah, no, I didn't end up getting into LAX. No hiccups at all. Got over to the H. Back at peace. Back at peace. And then, so yeah, I guess we'll start the LAX weekend here.
Yeah. So we will be right back.
BRB. We are back at the exit row. Segment 2, DOS. So let's see. So I wasn't present during a reason for going out to LAX, other than just to obviously be there, was kind of planned around the annual 24-hour live stream done by Airline Videos Live, a.k.a. Avelo, a.k.a. Kevin and Rude D.
Rudy.
Shout out to you guys, by the way. Luckily, I was able to see you because you ended up staying there the entire weekend, which I was shocked by. But anyway, so you guys were there because obviously I took that day off, but you guys attended the 24-hour live stream.
We did.
All 24 hours of it. Let's start with the first minute.
Okay.
Well, kind of.
First minute, how awesome.
We
Second minute,
slept.
how
We
awesome.
slept for a little bit of it because I wasn't going to stay up for 24 hours. But yeah, it was awesome. I knew it was going to be. We waited forever for our coffee downstairs, first of all, before we came up. Because some guy kept saying, oh, do this to my coffee. And then she had to take the coffee back. And I'm just like, I just want to get up there, man. But we got our coffee as we get
Talking
up
about
there.
the epic coffee being downstairs.
Yes.
If you know, you know.
And this was my first time. You, Adama, have been there a couple of days at this point, so you've already had it. But this was my first time having it in a year, so I was having withdrawals bad enough already, let alone waiting to get my my coffee. Yeah, it was tough, but I got it and I survived. Almost died, close, but I'm good. So we get up there and a bunch of people are there. A lot of the mods, and then of course Kevin and Rudy. Started a little late.
I would hope.
Paige has entered her happy place.
Yes.
the
So
way.
this whole segment is mostly going to be Paige talking because this is everything she was hoping for.
It was. So anybody
Real life chat.
Exactly. Anybody that is active in the AVL chat knows how much I respond. Sometimes I'm working and lurking, if you know, you know. But a lot of the times I'm in the chat. And so I was already so excited to see and meet a lot of the mods and people I talk to every day. It's like being pen pals with someone and finally getting
Every
to
day?
meet them. Some of them every
Every
day that
Tuesday
I'm talked to on Instagram, but every show, I should say.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
Friday, and Sunday.
Yes. And so the first hour started. It was blazing hot up there. Like, we're having flashbacks to September 2022 when we first went there.
The first time as a group. Yep.
Yeah. Crazy hot. UV of like 10. So we're slathering sunscreen on like there's no tomorrow.
Oh, I put it. So I took the advice of Justin from a year and a half before that September trip, where he wears a hoodie upstairs. And guess what I did?
And Kevin wears a tracksuit. And it makes sense. However, the tracksuit I can see myself doing more because
Kevin does it.
he makes it cool, yes. But he even said it in the Boston stream today. It's very lightweight, so it's not like making you more hot, you know, but it guards you from the sun so you stay cool. That's something I could do. I was wearing a tank top and shorts. No, I was wearing my Boop the Snoot shirt from AVL the first day. The next day I was wearing a tank top. Yeah.
I was wearing Go Long.
Yep. So we went up there, AVL shirts, and you all knew who the ones up there who were for the show because they also had their AVL shirts on. So getting to talk to all the mods finally and all the people who were in the chat was super awesome. We met this couple from New Zealand who was super cool. Let's see. Did you ever talk? You talked to them a little bit, didn't you?
I did for a little bit, yeah. I think it was more on the second day than the first day.
Yeah. First day was kind of chill up until, well, most of that first day we were photographing. Of course, Kevin and Rudy are super busy with the show, so they're not always able to, come out until after the show was done the next day. But we were mostly photographing, and I was talking with the mods and everyone. And then AVL actually brought me on to the show because Rudy stepped away for a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So Rudy stepped away for a little bit, and this is kind of going to be a segue into my Paige's polls because I said in this poll, would you be okay if someone, your seatmate that you didn't know, fell asleep on you, or would you shove them off? So that was the poll. And when he stepped away for a little bit, and I was talking to him and asked him that question, I was like, hey, just out of curiosity, because I'm asking a few people around. And he's like, we should bring you on the show and ask that to people. I was like, sweet. So I get on the show, and I was on there for about 10 minutes, I think, before the arrival of the, was it Lufthansa A380?
I think it was, yep.
One of
That's
the
what they were waiting on, yep.
Yeah.
I could see Kevin's looking, and he's like,
When I rewatched it back,
Paige, you gotta wrap this up. You see what's coming.
I know. I talked so much that I wasn't paying attention.
You were fangirling.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're, I guess, like, quote unquote aviation idols to me, what you could say. But it's like I've been watching them for so long, and if
They're aviation legends. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a full circle moment for me as well. I've introduced you to the H and AVL.
Exactly.
So to see you on was kind of like a father moment.
And I did mention you on the on the AVL show that you.
I would hope so. For someone that told you about both of these things and
Yes,
that has changed
I
your
did.
life, it's the least you could do.
I did, absolutely. And so they kind of just, I've talked to them all the time over Instagram leading up to this. And so I was already super excited. And then they bring me on the show, and, of course, I'm able to see the chat afterwards and saw everyone saying hi to me. And they asked me about my poll, kind of gave their input on what they would do. Both said that they would shove them off. So, agree. And then Rudy actually brought up a good point about if it's someone you know. So, like a loved one or
Of course,
a friend.
context, of course.
Yeah.
Always is important.
Yeah. In which at the end of my question for Paige's polls, I did add that little text box like I usually do for, additional things that can't be included in the poll. But I was able to kind of go on the show for like 10 minutes, talk about the poll, talk about the podcast, give the podcast a shout out, get to actually have a legitimate in-person conversation with them for the first time, which was so cool. And I was
Documented
so excited.
conversation. Now it's on there forever.
That's true.
Exactly.
You're in history.
I am. Yeah. So that was just super, super cool. And I was so happy to do that. And I gave them both an exit row sticker. So they both have
I
that.
hope so.
Thank you.
And then I gave them both a trading card of mine that has the Freedom 1 on it.
That's
So they
right.
both
Your
have that.
Freedom 1 card.
Yeah. So did that. It was a chill night. Stig Aviation. I'm sure a lot of y'all know of him. He actually ordered pizza for everybody up there that night. And so we all enjoyed.
Had a great account, by the way.
I love seeing his TikToks. They always pop up for me. And so We all had pizza except for Adama, who was bougie, too bougie.
What, was it not from Italy?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was Pizza Hut, so
You couldn't have a piece of pizza.
A la pizza casa. No.
no.
Not going to. No. I just wasn't feeling it.
He's just a lot better than us. It's fine.
Right.
Guess what? No one cares.
He's got to flex it, you know.
They wouldn't serve that on a Delta plane.
It's not as good as the lamb shoulder.
No way.
That's right, the lamb
The
shoulder.
lamb shoulder.
So yeah, pizza. Continue on the evening.
The evening was chill, you know, past dark. Wasn't able to photograph, which it was kind of nice to just get to be able to sit back and chill.
We've been up there plenty of nights. It's kind of nice to just sit back and
Yeah.
hang out there. Yeah.
Yeah, hang out, talk to people.
Hey, we had a guest that came up. Remember? Not a guest, but we had somebody I brought up in previous podcast.
The previous podcast.
How about Adama? You bring them up. You do a little talking.
You know, a
You
little
were there too.
little premonition, John. Remember?
Yeah.
What up, Premonition John? Round of applause for Primo John.
Premonition John. Yeah, he came out. I was texting him all day. He was talking about how he was at the LAX airport actually during the whole day because he landed in the morning, and he found a spot that he could go up to the window and just photograph planes left and right. So,
Yeah, and he was showing us that too.
and
By the way, super good dude. I was able to meet him because he was there all weekend as well, like us.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I put it's nice to put, like you were alluding to, it's nice to put faces with names, right?
Yeah.
Like for the chat, you didn't know these people until now. It's nice to put a face with the name.
Exactly.
Right? It's really cool to do that.
and you knew he existed finally. I didn't make it up. Right?
I kind of didn't want, nothing against him, kind of didn't want to meet him just because I had this aura of him in my head, right, of
Yeah.
who Primo John was. No, super good dude. Great conversation with him. But yeah, no, glad we met you, John.
Yeah. So we met Premonition John. We talked with Premonition John.
Yeah.
We talked to John. Okay.
Sorry, it's Premonition John. Sorry about it.
This is that's just what he goes by now. And yeah, we talked to some of the other the mods or people who were up there. We had a little Connect 4 game, best of 3,
That I won.
and Paige won. She's really good at Connect 4. I was
Sometimes it's a strategy game too. So
yeah, she got me. I was like, oh, there you go.
Is it that she's good at Connect 4 or you suck at Connect 4?
Thank you.
maybe
Gotcha.
both.
There you go.
Both can be true.
But yeah, and then the fog was starting to come in and just
The
made
typical
everything-
LAX fog. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just
Coastal Eddy is what it's referred to as.
Coastal Eddy.
Oh yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, you should know. I was going to say, that's an AVL term. Where you at?
Yeah, and so what started getting late, and there was talks of Air Force. Well, we all knew Air Force One was coming in.
We just didn't know the exact time.
Right, and we were told it was going to be anywhere between 6:30 and 7 o'clock. That's what.
Which I wasn't.
AM, right?
Yeah, a.m.
Yeah, which I wasn't particularly excited to wake up that early for because I knew the lighting was going to be bad.
Yes, yes. But
However,
there was a hunch. So somebody who has worked in the business of tracking
The
Air
biz.
Force One every once in a while. I know the
biz.
president does his own thing, right? Oh, but by the way, I should say I did see before you showed up at LA, I did see the Ospreys and Marine One
oh, I remember you saying
come
that.
in.
Yeah,
And I sent you the potato quality video.
Oh, is that what that was? Because I
It's always potato quality.
yeah.
So yeah, I was able to see that.
Because
That was
isn't that
pretty
like the
cool.
dead giveaway that it's imminent?
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
That. Well, they always practice ahead of time, so it was like 2 days prior. So
Oh, you're talking about. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
AF1 is imminent.
they got to make sure that they know what to do. They got to pick
Yeah.
up the president, the POTUS, and so yeah. As I know, like I have a feeling that this is not. He's gonna come early, and so I woke up.
This is just wild, and I will still think this is just so freaking weird.
I woke up around 4. I don't know, 4:15.
And who naturally wakes up at 4:15? That's not even what time you get up for work, really.
I just had a feeling. I just had a feeling.
Had an itch.
Spidey senses are tingling.
And sure enough, like I'm looking at, so I had AVL on in the hotel room all night, and I had, I was like, this is interesting. Let me look at Flight Radar 24. The number one aircraft tracked on Flight Radar 24 was like something in Russia. So I'm like, I think Air Force One's transponder is not going to be on Flight Radar 24 because usually it'll be on.
Yeah, no.
Well, sometimes it's a miss. And then I go over to ADSB. I hit that U, the
For
U
the military,
button.
yep.
It's for the military. And I'm like, this aircraft is at like 32,000 feet and sinking. It's in Nevada. It's almost here.
It would crazy. How it just woke your body up. Like your body knew that this plane was in the air and it's like, oh crap.
And then you went and woke Paige's body up.
I woke Paige's body up. Pounding on the door.
Dad's at your door being like, get up.
Get up.
What?
And then I guess John, Premonition John, he also messaged me. He's like, hey, get up here. It's getting here early. And
see, that's the beauty of the 24-hour stream is that it was open because it usually doesn't open until 7 a.m. The rooftop.
Right.
patio.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
luckily, the 24-hour stream was going on.
yes. And that's when I, like, after I got also done checking, I also hear, like, Kevin and Rudy Kevin is talking because Rudy was asleep.
No, Rudy was up there. He was up there right in the beginning, or about right when we went up is when he went back up.
And so Kevin was like, yeah, everybody is telling me that, because it wasn't showing on Flight Radar 24. So he's like, everybody's
Yeah.
telling me that it's coming in early. And so, again, that was the additional hint of, okay, yes, it's go time. So, yeah, we get up there
And I'm still only half awake.
to the rooftop,
Yeah.
knowing that at 5 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to be able to photograph the aircraft.
I got a potato quality video.
I mean,
Sometimes you can't get the best photos. Enjoy the moment.
enjoy the moment.
That's why I didn't even try and photograph it because, I was like, I'd rather just have my phone up here videotaping as I'm actually looking at it with my own eyes because I knew the photos weren't going to be good for anything. So,
Yeah, but it was cool, right? You got to see Air Force One for the first time.
right.
In person.
Oh, that was your first time seeing Air Force One?
Yes.
Oh, I guess I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Gosh, there's another first. Check.
Boom.
Exactly.
Lord. Unbelievable. Really is.
So pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
That close to Air Force One too. Yeah. That's what started off the day. I think everybody left to go back to go get some more sleep,
I did for sure. Yeah.
and then got back out to the rooftop for the final few hours. No, the final hour. I think it was like the final hour,
I don't remember.
maybe
Sure,
final
the
two
final
hours.
few
Little bit.
It
Let's
doesn't
call it that.
matter, right? Because it ended at 11:17.
Yeah, because that was the start time.
That
So.
was the start time of the stream. So had a few more people up there
Yeah.
watching the AVL stream, or part of the stream as well.
So one thing I actually did want to know, fast tracking the day before, is
Is that backtracking actually, not fast tracking?
And that would be backtracking.
that's what I meant.
Fast backtracking. Got it.
Yes. So Freedom 1 landed, and
that's right.
Yeah. So this is actually kind of a premonition, John, of that alley a little bit. So I had mentioned to you guys months prior to us coming to LAX that if I saw Freedom 1 there, I was like, that's gonna be a direct sign for my grandpa. And for those of you who don't know, my grandpa passed away very shortly after our LAX trip last year. He was always enamored by my pictures from LAX. Even before I went last year, I was showing him pictures. I was like, this is where I'm going to be. And he was just like, that is so cool. And we saw Freedom 1 there last year. And I went and visited him in the hospital when I got back. And that was one of the pictures I showed him. And he was like, oh my gosh, I love that plane. It's so impressive. And so I told myself, I was like, if I see this plane there again, I'm like, this is going to be for my grandpa. And that morning, it wasn't supposed to originally come, but that morning I checked Jet Tip and there was Freedom 1. I was like,
Boom.
no freaking way.
It's gonna happen.
And not only did it come that day on Flag Day, which actually I did not know until Kevin mentioned it.
Which
on-
I think is also the Army's birthday. I think it's the same. But
My
fine.
grandpa was in the Army. I didn't know
What?
that. That's crazy.
What?
Yeah, Army Reserves. Yeah. And I didn't know that until Kevin told me. Actually, after I gave him the Freedom 1 cards, so this day was just full of Freedom 1. So it came that day, and it also came again Sunday on Father's Day.
Boom.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were all out there. We toasted a beer to him, and then Freedom 1 came in and landed again. So
And speaking of Sunday, Air Force One departed that day, but
yeah,
We chose not to see it. We chose the Dodger game.
Chose the Dodger game, yeah.
Yeah, because we had seen it earlier.
I was really surprised you guys made the choice. I was going no matter what.
Yeah,
Then you guys came along with, which was awesome.
it was a good time.
Yeah, on Father's Day, we got these awesome hats that we did.
Minus
wear.
the traffic.
I know.
Everything was awesome.
Oh God, to and from was horrible. But yeah, that was a little bit of a highlight of the stay there, was getting to see Freedom One. And when we were talking to John about the whole story behind Freedom One and stuff like that, Freedom One actually started taxiing and showed up on the big screen on AVL.
Oh, that's
right
right.
as we were talking to John about it.
What?
Because we were talking, I told him, I was like, hey, guess what? Like, you know, and told him the story I just told. And he was like, well, Freedom One's just taxiing right now on the TV. And I looked back and there it was. I'm like, crazy.
No better person to be talking to about that at that time than John.
I told you
Exactly.
guys, he's Premonition John. So,
I know.
yeah, so the rest of the LAX trip was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Rode scooters.
we rode the scoots
Yes.
We took them to dinner at the 5-star restaurant In and Out.
and then
I mean, it kind of is.
And then I finally showed you
Yeah.
guys the Westchester Bridge location, which you hadn't been to yet.
Yeah.
yeah, we hadn't been there.
And that was a perfect thing to do, was take scooters there. It
was-
sucks to walk, and Ubering's kind of difficult. So why not take a scooter?
And it was fun. Paige's scooter was super fast. No, it was super slow.
Yeah, because mine was a different brand than your guys's, and it didn't go as fast. So,
Yeah.
It was the driver.
It got
No.
so fast. So fast. Sorry, Paige.
well, before that, actually, once the AVL stream ended, we all toasted champagne together, and we all went to the Proud Bird. So we all got to hang out
Watch
with.
me arrive,
That's
Yes,
right. We saw,
exactly.
We saw Justin arrive. Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah. So we saw you arrive.
And so
us
you mean
and-
there was a group of like 20 of us, all of us who were part
Yeah.
of the stream. Yeah.
So yeah, it was me, you, the AVL crew, of course, some of the mods, and some of the people who were just present for the show, like us. And so it was cool getting to hang out with everybody, have food, some beers. Proud Bird was awesome. I had never been there before
Shocking.
this trip. I know.
First.
Another
check.
first, exactly. And so we kind of had nowhere to sit outside because there was a crazy amount of events and birthday parties, and they wouldn't let us sit anywhere. So we decided to take up camp under one of the planes, which provided us with shade. So
Perfect.
so we did that, watched some planes land. We watched an A380 do a go round.
Yes, we did. And all
Ooh.
of us nerded out on that
Yeah,
one.
I was
Oh, yeah.
screaming. I was like audibly, oh my gosh, like
Nothing gets an av geek going like a good go around.
especially from an A380, like
Oh, yeah.
so. So yeah, we were able to do that. Hung out with them until it was time to go to the Galaxy game.
LA Galaxy.
Me and you went to that. Then we came back.
And Justin got to really talk to Premonition John.
Oh yeah.
That was when
I
you,
was introduced to John indirectly, I think.
Yeah.
Weirdly, but
Oh yeah.
and then we came up to the rooftop and you were talking to him.
And
and
he
so
was
we
still
were
talking to me.
you guys. And yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then Sunday? So yeah, we all did some plane spotting. And then Monday we went out to Clotis Park,
Rose Park, the Clut.
the Colette. Did some last minute plane spotting over there. Neverland Pixel, he came up and
Yep.
said hi to us before we left. And we can get to that part of the LAX trip of us leaving in the next part.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we want to talk about this before we move on to this last segment?
shout out to the Royals. Saw the Royals lose, but saw Shohei Ohtani hit 2 home runs.
Oh my God, that was
That'll
awesome.
be
That was
my little sports
crazy.
That'll be the sports tie-in here.
That was
Yeah.
awesome.
You thought, oh yeah, look at Adama saying baseball's awesome.
I mean, I like sports.
I mean, if the Royals had to lose, at least we saw Shohei hit 2 homers.
I'm wearing a Braves shirt right now, so
Yeah, and you live in Omaha. It's cool.
Yeah.
yes, I know I live in Omaha. So- All right,
It's a packed day. It was Father's Day, Sunday, Dodger Stadium for your first Major League Baseball game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad first Major League Baseball game.
pretty dope.
Not at all.
A
That was
Sunday,
good.
Father's Day at Dodger Stadium. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good.
Completely packed.
50,000 people, dude.
A lot of people.
Or, yeah,
So,
all wearing hats,
yeah, we all got
all wearing straw hats. We all managed to get home somehow. Mine into a suitcase. We'll wear them on the next pod. We'll take a picture. We'll show the people what we're talking about.
That's right. Okay.
We'll BRB though.
All right, guys. Welcome back. So, departing LAX, Justin.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Always the sad part of leaving. You were the one to depart first before me and Adama did.
For you and Adama, that is correct. Before the package deal left, I had to leave first.
On the one and only.
So I took Adama Air.
Adama
aka
Air.
United. So I went LAX Denver to Omaha. Good to go. All right. I went get used to it, man. LAX to Denver to Omaha. So the LAX to Denver flight was booked specifically for just to fly on the Max. I'd never been on a Max, believe it or not. So it was a Max 9, Eva Blue. I believe it was just right under 2 years old. I'll have to go back and look, but yeah, right around 2.
BB plan.
Let's see. So yeah, I'm always surprised at seeing like new aircraft. By the way, like what has IFEs, what doesn't. You know, new aircraft coming out of the factories these days. These Maxes do, and they have those sweet. I mean, just kind of like I know Delta has them on theirs, but American not so much because they don't have IFEs. But the in-flight tracking system is so cool on these flights. They can do so many cool things nowadays. The only thing it was missing, the only thing that could have made it better was, obviously like in-flight cameras. You know, like that's the only thing that could have been missing.
Oh, gotcha.
But you know, they just do sweet things with, you know, the in-flight entertainment these days in terms of like the tracking apps.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, like you can just zoom in on the maps and just everything. It shows you all the speeds. You know, all the AvGeek needs are there. All of them are there.
It's just like when I flew the Delta A220 to Boise.
It's exactly like that. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like every airline's a little different in how they do it, but still sweet no matter what. They're still awesome.
Yeah.
So technically had a window assigned. Didn't get the window. Shout out to the handicapped man. No disrespect, but shout out to the handicapped man that decided to sit in my seat. Thought he was saving people time. Yes and no. I mean, booked it specifically for the window. It is what it is. Luckily, you know, I didn't go all Adama on him and ruin his life.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Luckily, I mean, I took it like a champ. I'm a good person. But supposedly the word was he was handicapped, so he would just go ahead and sit in the window seat, which was obviously then it allows for people to get up and leave without him having to be mobile, which I guess is the idea behind it. I guess. Whatever. We can talk about it later time. There's no need to waste time on the podcast for it right now. But it gave me time to use the IFE then. You know, I got to focus my priorities on the IFE. Luckily, it was a short flight, just short hop to Denver, where I was waiting for you guys.
Oh, that's right.
Because then I'll just finish the trip home. I just took a little 737-800, maybe like, I think it was like 28 years old, and it showed.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Going from a 2-year-old MAX 9 to like a 28-year-old 737-800. Yeah. They still had the IFEs in there, but obviously, 1, not a touchscreen. 2, couldn't do anything on it, like the little remotes that are in the armrests. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know.
Unfortunately, the flight was full because it was, you know, just cramped flight in economy, tap water only style.
Yeah.
Obviously. But yeah.
That must be a relatively new thing with United from what I've been hearing from people too. So
Yeah, united and sucking.
They got me from A to B though, so grateful for that. But yeah, we all met up in Denver. We'll talk about that here in a moment. You guys, what'd you do? You two flew together.
Yep.
Delta.
We took Delta. What did we take up there?
An A319, the cutest plane ever, right, Justin?
Gross.
The best. Oh my gosh. That plane was everything that I thought it would be and more.
What does that mean?
Oh, it was amazing. Well, we got first class, so obviously
Paige,
that's
any flight
automatically a
you've ever
top
flown.
tier. It really is.
It was amazing.
So amazing.
It was Plen BB. Plen was definitely BB, baby bus.
Keep it moving.
However, before we got on the plane, we stopped in the Delta Lounge
Yes,
Shout
we
out to
did.
Adama.
Club.
And
Thanks
you,
to Justin's recommendation.
I didn't get you in there.
But it's recommendation. Your recommendation got us.
I mean, had you not said that, would we have ended up there? You know, you never know.
It had a taco bar in there. How
It
cool was that?
did. That was so cool. And once again, I have to bring it up. Delta, no matter what the flavor is, the hummus is always so top tier, and I haven't been able to find anything better than that hummus.
It's just
hummus,
homemade.
man.
It's just homemade hummus.
It's so freaking good.
It must be.
It's better
Man,
than
I didn't
store-bought
think I
hummus.
liked hummus until I had Delta Lounge hummus, and then everything changed.
It's
so
just open up the gates page.
it has. Loved
However,
There's a whole world out there. My
Yeah.
God.
So Delta Sky Club, though, we got to the patio. We found a spot on
it.
the
It was
patio.
outdoor,
Yeah.
by the way.
Because it views the north side ramp. Yeah.
Yeah. north side ramp, and obviously the north
It is
runways.
It's a relatively new club. That's kind of why I recommend it. I just wasn't sure if you knew about it, but it is known to be one of the best Delta clubs, like, period.
It definitely, I would agree with that. That was probably the best I've been in. That was super cool and so much variety as far as food and drinks go. It was outdoors. The seating was amazing. Just they had some of like the hanging seats, I guess is what you can call it, and then they had a bunch of just super like big like chairs and super comfy. It was so cool.
Was it amazing?
Yes. Phenomenal. And then of
Vibes
course
were immaculate.
immaculate divine vibes that were going on in that lounge.
Divine Delta vibes.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Them DDVs.
So we got a window view too. We were right up
Yes.
on the window. We got to finally
Right up on the window.
see the
Oh, yeah.
the big Q One World come in.
We saw that. We saw, I think, the Qantas A380.
Yes. And
Fortunately, I
saw-
departed on the south side, so you
Lolita.
didn't see yours truly.
We didn't see you, no.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So we took off on the A319.
Boo.
Made our way.
Yay!
Up
Oh
to
my gosh, that
the
was a great
Denver
flight.
though.
Oh, hey, I was in
That
Denver.
end.
That's right. We met up with you. However, we had a different plan going back because Paige was going back to Omaha and I was going back to, I had a different trip. So, because I had different plans. Talking about the A220 earlier.
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
So we had to leave we had to go to baggage terminal,
yeah.
the baggage claim to go pick up our bags. However, it smelled like garbage. Like
And for
garbage that
whatever
had been there
reason,
for 5 days.
I don't know what was wrong with my sense of smell because I know you were not the only person to think that, but for whatever reason, it made me hungry.
I was
That's funny.
and I
I-
was dry heaving. It was really disgusting.
It was weird. I was like,
One man's treasure is another man's treasure. Okay.
Obviously.
and it smelled like mac and cheese to me.
No, we didn't.
And maybe that's just because I was craving
You
it.
guys,
but,
stop.
But and then I ended up having mac and cheese in that lounge, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, so we ended up checking in the bags
Yep,
and you took Southwest back to Omaha
my BB.
and we went towards what lounge did we meet you at?
Capital One.
Capital One
One,
Lounge.
yeah.
So we went to the Capital One Lounge.
And Justin saw us taxi right by him too.
That's right.
Right there.
Yep.
And that was the first time we've been to a lounge together. All
Yeah,
three of
all
us.
three of us.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
And kind of shocked you because you were like, oh,
I knew you were coming. I get startled easily.
yeah, because you were looking out the window. So
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
and yeah, so, and watching, you were watching,
The finals game.
yeah, the finals
5.
game. Yeah.
And you introduced me to baklava for the first time. Told me to
I mean,
go
it was
on
just
over
sitting
and
there. Yeah.
you told me that's what it was. I wouldn't have ever known that's what it was.
Right.
But
Win
yeah,
in Rome. Win in Rome.
had some because I've always wanted to try it. Loved it.
Yeah.
So another first.
That's a saying.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
I know what.
Well, I didn't know what the look was. Yeah.
I'm just thinking Denver and baklava. Yeah, when in Rome. I don't equate Denver and baklava together.
Well, it was there.
So,
Yeah, I didn't complain. Had one of the best sodas ever. Lemon berry.
Yeah, they had a
acai.
funky soda machine there.
it was pretty dope.
It was fire, but yeah, great food, great drinks.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice lounge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really cool.
Sweet views.
Great views.
Yes.
Views of the correct side of the terminal because you got the most variety of airlines facing the,
Yes.
what is that, like the northwest side, I guess? But yeah, because you get to see the Frontier Southwest.
Yeah.
So you get to see a little variety over there.
And then Justin, you left.
Peace.
Yep, you got your flight back, and then it was time for Paige to leave.
Which I will also add, I was originally I was about 2 hours delayed, which got put back down to about an hour delayed after I got a new aircraft, which was probably the only time a delay has ever positively impacted me because for one, we had to go back down and get the bags and go back up, and we were wondering, are we going to be stressed for time, at least getting me back up to my gate? But with that delay, we were able to comfortably do that and then also go to the lounge. So
That's right.
worked out.
Everything works out.
Yeah. So didn't mind the delay. We left the lounge, went out to the outdoor patio for a little bit until it was time to board. I got on my 1-year-old baby Max. I think that was my 5th time flying it.
Double maxes that day, both. of you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was boarding position like C10. And I
True.
ended up getting a window seat, which
Oh yeah, you were tripping about that. Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah.
And I told you ahead of time, like usually when it's those late flights, people want the front. So I was like, you might
Yeah.
actually have a chance.
and it's the MAX 8, so longer plane, a little bit better of a chance than 737-700. So
Valid point.
yeah, so I got the window seat. We didn't get in until probably 1 a.m. But I will say, though, the flight attendant, which I'm going to have to look on Instagram and get his name, he actually recognized me as I was coming onto the plane.
Oh
And
God, I'm sure she. Oh man.
There we go.
and it was pretty awesome.
Paige's like,
good.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure you see me from my 10 minutes.
Oh
on
my
video.
God, it's Paige.
from my 15 seconds of fame with AVL. So
Is that where they recognized you from?
No, so I had actually talked to this guy, and I'm trying to.
Wait, so while she
open
looks it
my
up, I did have something
Instagram.
I did want to mention that I remember because I checked my bag with United, and I've never had this happen before. I've heard it happening before, but my bag caught an earlier flight to Omaha than I
Yes, that's happened
I've never
before.
had that happen before. I've never
Really?
had that happen to me before. I've heard of it, never had it happen. Didn't realize it until I got to Omaha. It says your bag. It said check with.
Service agent.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
immediately I was like, "Oh man, you kidding me?"
Well, 'cause typically it's the other way around.
I've had that happen as well, but I've never
Yeah.
had it happen. I've never had it where it caught an earlier flight than I did, which is hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, have you
Right?
ever like been at baggage claim and seen like those bags that are there just hanging there?
Yeah, he was there.
That's why.
I refer to he as my bag. But yeah, odd. I've had it happen what Paige just implied, which is catches a later flight, but never had one catch one before me, which is kind of funny.
Oh,
anyway.
Right.
I've had one that everybody in first class, they all had theirs show up the next day.
Well, that's what I just implied. Later is what I
Yeah,
meant. Yeah.
yeah.
I've never had one catch before the flight.
But the app said it was already on the aircraft. Don't know which aircraft it was on.
Right.
You just figure it out?
Yeah.
So anyway, Paige is famous.
So his name on Instagram is Speedbird272. Will is his name. He's a Southwest flight attendant.
What's up, Will?
And I was sitting in my seat. Everyone had boarded at this point. So, of course, the flight attendants are busy at the beginning. And he came up to me. I was at the window seat. And he came up to me. He was like, okay, so this is kind of weird, but I know you from Instagram. And I'm like, really?
Just like you're gonna have to narrow it down. I have 10,000 followers.
Yeah, I'm famous.
I was like-
AVL.
Which one of the 10,000 are you, sir? I'm sorry.
Well, and everyone was looking, so I was like, I really hope I know you. Like, because I don't want to make it awkward, be like, oh, I don't know you. But
even if you don't, you say yeah. Even if you don't, that's classic.
Yeah.
That's classic introduction 101.
oh, absolutely, I would have. But yeah, but he was like, I know you probably don't recognize me, but then he showed me his Instagram profile, and I knew him. I'd talked to him before. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like. And so he was like, oh yeah, I know you from Instagram, and we follow each other. And he was like, if you need anything, let me know. And everyone around us was just kind of like, I don't really know.
digits?
And by anything he means tap water.
Southwest is
that's right,
more
Southwest.
premium
That's
than
right.
that. Yes.
She was swa.
Yeah, Southwest is levels above just tap water for economy.
My
They
bad. I
they
forgot
take
you're
care of their people. It's the Southwest way.
They do.
So
They took care of me this weekend. That's for sure.
they did. Yes. But everyone around was kind of just like, I guess, kind of jaw dropped, and I heard a couple claps from a couple people behind us.
Because of knowing you.
That's,
I guess they must have thought I was a celebrity. I don't know, but you could hear people like audibly gasping, like "Oh my gosh!" or people saying like, "Oh, that's so cool!" Like,
People
Yeah,
were,
but you were.
hold up.
She is a celebrity. She was on
People were
AVL.
audibly. People were audibly gasping when he
Yeah.
said, "I know you."
it wasn't like a synchronous amount of big people doing it, but you could hear like a couple of people like saying that, and then you heard the people around saying, "Oh, that's cool." Like the people next to me were just kind of like smiling and like they're like, "Oh, that's really cool," and
Okay. Cool.
so that's kind of the first time that's ever.
That's weird. That's weird.
Yeah, it was
I
wild,
mean,
but.
maybe.
Are you sure you just didn't hear them gasping and happened to be around that time and you just assumed it was for you?
I don't know. I mean, everyone kind of went quiet, so I was because you don't see that very often on flights. So
right up there. That's Paige Larson. Yeah, I know her.
might as well give me my crown. What's going on?
What we've been alluding to here. Yeah.
It's that Southwest ground, right? Yeah.
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 But yeah, that was super cool. I've never had that happen before. I've had
Used to it.
right. I had someone recognize me in Ireland, of all places. before anybody did in America.
So the whole first thing.
Before anybody in America.
So the whole first
Yeah.
time is not true.
Yeah.
It goes back.
Well, I would say, I guess I meant to say the first time with like a flight crew member, or,
Oh, so now you're changing the story.
Hey, life in the
It's-
Well,
spotlight.
that's what I meant to
Life
say.
in the spotlight's tough, man.
Yeah, can't keep track of it all sometimes, It's crazy.
Okay.
Life in the biz, bro.
But we got a picture together after the flight, talked a little bit, told him about the podcast, and told the other flight attendants about the podcast as well.
And everyone
So-
applauded as Paige left.
Yes. Like she's off this plane
There goes-
finally.
There
Here,
goes that
here it
acting
goes.
goddess.
Yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. But yeah, super cool experience, and landed in Omaha about 1 a.m. But I had the next day off of work, so I got to sleep in. It didn't matter to me. So
Dope.
Oh, when you're a celebrity, you don't work. I mean, you don't have to. Right?
Sure. That's
I
true.
guess, yeah.
People like me, back to the trenches the next day.
And then people like Adama, who take another
Oh, yeah,
extra
Adama,
3
you-
days.
Oh, come on, guys. I just went home. I didn't do anything
You went
else.
on another. You literally went on another trip.
Yeah, literally to the other side of the U.S.
That's
yeah.
right. Yes. So I ditched you in Denver.
Yeah,
I call that ditch in Denver.
Denver ditching.
Denver
yeah.
ditching. And I took my second A220 of the trip, which was a JetBlue A220. So, yeah, that was not a bad flight, but it was a red-eye flight. I think it was supposed to be 11:45 departure. It was more like a 1:15 departure because we were on the apron or taxiway, one of the taxiways of the airport. It's got like 8 miles of runways. Yeah, so the reason why we did that was because first off, it was too windy, so we couldn't take off. The second part was we had to cool our brakes down because it landed hot coming into
Oof, hot breaks.
hot brakes into Denver. So it was great to just be there on the taxiway, just waiting there an hour and a half just waiting to take
Just go to
off.
sleep. That's what you're
You
gonna.
know,
It's a red eye. Just go to
That's
bed.
exactly
Right?
what I did. And then finally we took off, headed to Boston. So I was on an aircraft that one of the JetBlue flight attendants was wearing a Boston Celtics jersey because they had just won the championship that night. So yeah, I was headed to Boston. Made it to Boston Logan Airport. Don't know what time. It doesn't matter. So what I did was I was taking in. I wanted to take Boutique Air. I was trying to get Cape Cod Air, but I couldn't find a good flight that could work my schedule. That I was, my flight schedule itinerary that I had. So I did Boutique.
Couldn't fit that 9th flight in between the 8th flight.
I was
Right, yeah.
the 25th flight in.
It's tough.
So I flew.
flight.
So what I did was I couldn't check in with Boutique Air because they don't have an app. They have a website that says you can check in, but I tried to check in and it said passenger not available. Like I wasn't going to be on this flight.
Oh,
So I had some concern about not being able to take this flight. So I think it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. So I knew okay, I have to get out and I'm going to have to go through TSA again. So I get out of the terminal. This is where I found out that there was a Chase Sapphire lounge along the way. So I was super excited to get a lounge to leave, especially with Boutique Air. They don't have lounge access. So anyways, one of the things with Boutique Air was that their window to check in, they don't have anybody there 24/7, right? So I had to show up at 8:25 to get on my 10:25 flight or 10 o'clock flight, whatever it is. So I had to wait a bit. I got some Dunkin'. I had to get my Dunkin' coffee because I was waiting outside the TSA.
When you're on the East Coast, that's what you do.
yeah.
That's what you do in Boston, right? So I finally look at 8:15. I see somebody walks up over there. I'm like, I'm checking in. So I go over there, check in. There's literally one lane. There's no outside lane or, exit lane or enter lane. It's just one lane. So I get to the guy and check in. He prints me a boarding pass, which is all paper.
That you
So-
don't see that very often.
No.
Ironically, we've seen it quite a bit lately, though. Us personally, but yes, you
Yeah.
usually don't see that often. But we've collected quite a few of those lately.
Yeah. So so I do that. I get checked in. I board or I get back into TSA. Head straight to the Chase Sapphire Lounge. and I finally get my first like shower lounge like after a trip. I know it
You're
sounds
probably
weird.
stank, dude.
Right?
Yes, I did.
Reeks.
Smelling
And
like the Denver airport.
I was
Oh, the baggage claim area.
baggage claim. So I get that shower. I'm refreshed after my red eye. You guys just keep on taking. Or keep on laughing.
Well, you made it sound like, well, like, thank God, because I stink.
I stank.
Right? R.I.P. to whoever
depending
sat
on-
by you on that flight.
Depending on who you ask, you either smelled like trash or like mac and cheese, right?
There you go.
Exactly. I don't know what was that all about because everyone was gagging. I'm like, ooh, I'm getting hungry now.
It's more like mac and trash. So
Good one, Dad.
all right. So I get
So you're showered, you've bathed,
showered. I'm bathed. I'm ready to get on my
ready for the day.
PC-12. So Boutique Air, they fly the PC-12 out of Boston, which was really cool. Like, okay, so I get to the gate. It was like 35A, and there's one guy behind the counter, and it was just kind of a like, hey guys, whenever you guys come, or I'm gonna call you out to this door. We're gonna go walk to this door. So it was not like the main door. Like literally, we had to walk, I don't know, 350 feet away.
You had to board on the tarmac, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had to go get onto the tarmac, and so we go down a set of stairs, and then we're on the tarmac, and we walk up to our aircraft, get on. There's only 4 of us that are on there, minus the pilot and the co-pilot. So there's 6 of us. We take off. We head out. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say,
We're going to fly.
flying,
We're
and
going to fly.
flying.
What I was going to say was we were taking off, and we actually flew like over the skyscrapers of Boston. So that was pretty cool. If you've ever been to the Boston airport, it's literally right up there.
Yeah.
In Boston. And so yeah, that was pretty nice departure out of Boston. And
You took the flight where?
I went to Massena, New York.
Gotcha. And you took the round trip.
Took the round trip, which they were kind of like, oh, you're okay. So you're the guy you're coming back. Okay. Anyways, I land in Massena. Everybody gets off. I get into their small little, they only have like 12 seats for their planes because they don't get any planes.
It's Massena, New York. Yep.
Yeah. It's right up there on the Canadian border. So I come out, or I get off, and I go in the waiting room, and like the pilot and co-pilot, I'm like, yeah, hey, I'm going to be on the return flight. They're like,
Hey, Adam, Adama here. I want to be on the flight back.
yeah. So the guy that was checking everybody in Massena, he actually came to give the pilot, Adam, my boarding ticket because he thought that Adam was not flying the plane and was actually going to be a passenger on the way back.
AKA you.
Yeah. So Adam is like, no, I'm not. This is the guy that's. I'm like, Adama. He's oh, okay. So he gave me my other paper Boutique Air ticket, and then that was a full flight on the way back. They did have to do weight and balance on that aircraft. Again, there's 10 people total on that plane. Make it back to Boston. So I went back to Boston, and that was both flights are smooth. So it was really nice. It was nice to take the Pilatus PC-12, Pilatus, however you want to say it.
The big P.
The big B.
There you go. Going back into Boston, smooth ride. Shout out to Adam because he followed the podcast afterwards and shot me a message on the Exit Row pod on Instagram. And so then my next flight was my other A220, which was Delta. So I took that one out of Boston and I head down to Raleigh, North Carolina, because I had another thing I was going to do the next day. So the next day I took Avelo Air out to New Haven, Connecticut, because everybody on the East Coast will go to New Haven, Connecticut, because that is the only airline that flies into New Haven,
Their
Connecticut.
hub, yeah.
And I was tracking, so I had my flight back to Omaha that day, and I was tracking that, okay, I'm not going to, which was with Southwest. I was going to Southwest. So I was going to take this New Haven, Connecticut, or Raleigh to New Haven, Connecticut, Connecticut back to Raleigh. So I did like what I did in Boston. However, that plans changed. Plans changed before I got to, well, they were starting to change once I got up in the air. Avelo, really quick, simple, easy process to get onto the aircraft. They have no IFE. They have no water. They have no nothing.
No snacks.
There's no frills.
nothing.
They are an ultra low-cost carrier is what they call themselves. And it was an old Argentina airline. I looked it up, the history of it, because some of their aircraft are old Southwest planes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get up to New Haven, Connecticut, and I'm like, okay, my return to Raleigh is going to be a problem. So I leave TSA, and at New Haven, Connecticut, you have the arrivals and departures are two different buildings. So I get in there, or I leave TSA, or I leave the arrivals, and I go over to departures, and I notice that anybody who has a bag who is checked in with Avelo can go through the departure building, but those who need to check in have to go outside. Right next to it, there's some trailers that are outside the terminal. Yeah, the departure terminal.
Trailers.
And had to go in there and check in. And I said, I know this is crazy, but I now need to get onto this Myrtle Beach, South Carolina aircraft that's leaving in 40 minutes. And they're like, what?
Wait, so why did you choose this flight again? Like, what was the reason you are not going back to Raleigh?
So the reason I wasn't going to Raleigh, because Raleigh, I was going to arrive at like 6 o'clock. And the Southwest flight that I had booked was going to make it to St. Louis, but it was going to make it to St. Louis after the departure of my flight to Omaha.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to be able to get to Omaha that night.
Gotcha.
So, because I was trying to figure out, okay, maybe I can move my Southwest flights over to Myrtle Beach and, get out of there. It was possible. And then I saw my way to get to Omaha through the guys who always save me, Delta. And anyway, so back in New Haven, Connecticut, I talked to the ladies. They're trying to figure out how to get me onto this flight. And what was nice was they were able to finally get me to go on the aircraft because they kind of canceled my round trip. And they used my fare that I paid for the second flight. And all I had to do was pay the change fee, which was nice. Or the difference. The price
difference,
difference.
yeah.
And it was only like $25. So I was like, okay, done.
Not bad.
They got me in. The problem is on the way back, I had a middle seat.
That's kind of
no,
expected when you book that.
Actually, no correction. I had a aisle seat. And the guy next to me who had an aisle seat, and there was a family of 4 that was split in between that. And so the guy next to me and myself, we kind of talked it out, and I was going to take a middle seat, and he moved over to the aisle seat because the kid right next to me was like 12 years old or maybe 10 years old and wanted to be next to his parents.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, well, I'm already aisle middle seat, and this is Avelo, so this is just whatever. It's just going to get me here.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't going to get a window seat, so I was like, all right, I can do that for an hour and a half. So
Good for you.
right. But what was great was now I had a layover in Myrtle Beach, which means that I could have a beer or two looking at the Atlantic Ocean. So I was in the Pacific Ocean the day before, Atlantic Ocean the next day.
Okay.
Crazy.
And Myrtle Beach Airport, awesome. Has a Chick-fil-A in there, has a Starbucks in there, only has 12 gates compared to Omaha's airport where it has like 20 gates and Cracky Mickey.
Well, there are a ton of restaurants at Omaha, but just on
Yeah, before TSA.
And yeah, so South Carolina, got out of there, went up to Minneapolis. What was it, the A320? I think it was the A320. And then took a A319 back to
It's
Omaha.
unfortunate.
And
Not so much, but
so yeah, when it comes to the aircraft I have to fly for the rest of the year, for those who are like, or for myself, I'm trying to fly every main airline in America this year. I really only have Allegiant, Alaska, Hawaiian, Sun Country, and I think that's it.
I think so too.
So I'm down to those 4. I'm trying to plan all those out this year. Yeah. Avelo.
It's only June. You got plenty of time.
Yep.
right?
So Avelo, I would recommend people to take it on the West Coast because there's more opportunities and there's better connections. Would I take it again? Again, if it's West Coast and I'm trying to get somewhere.
If you're in a pinch.
Sure.
I mean, yeah.
Right.
It serves a purpose.
It
All ULCCs do.
It gets you where you need to go. And especially as somebody who has done Ryanair and EasyJet, for me, that was really easy to take them. No issues. I did want to stop in Connecticut and go check out some Yale stuff because that's where New Haven, it's where Yale University is. But I went to Myrtle Beach instead, so it was really nice. But yeah, so that was my trip in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and try to
nutshell like it though.
Right.
Let's go ahead and close this out. Paige, we have to do your poll real quick.
Yep.
So
Take your time. Take your time though.
So it's time for Paige's polls. Paige's polls. Paige's polls.
Oh, you two.
It
it's
is.
always this. It's always
Yes, that head nod.
my hair.
It is once again that time for Paige's polls, and as I said,
You really went up there, right?
well, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, kind of got an idea of what this week's poll is going to be, and it is: if the person sitting next to you on the plane fell asleep on you, would you shove them off or let them sleep on you? Shove them off won at 74%. Let them sleep on you at 26%, with a vote of 26-9.
I mean, as usual, as we mentioned before, there's always context.
Yeah.
So I would like to know who's sleeping on me. Obviously,
Oh, for sure.
we've got rando guy. Obviously not.
Yeah. So that's another thing I brought up is kind of that context. So I did, of course, add the section where you can add your own comments. And I'll start with those with Walker Nixon saying, I would kindly remind them to respect my space. You cannot lean on me for 4+ hours. I agree with that. Justin comments.
I
Of
commented?
course, this happened to Paige.
Oh, I don't even remember saying that. Wow, I did say that. Hey,
You did.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
What a guy.
unfortunately only happened once.
I
and
mean,
then never
honestly,
again.
he's right.
Yeah. Look at this Justin guy over here.
Right.
This
Of
what
course
happened
it
to
happened to
Paige.
you. Of course it happened to you.
Thankfully, only once. Tanner spots planes. If it was a random stranger, I'd get them off, but it's someone I know, then it wouldn't be as bad. And I do agree with that.
Yeah. Again, context.
Yeah.
Shout out
If we've got a hottie with a body, laying on
Exactly
me,
right.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
And that actually, when I was on AVL, Rudy kind of mentioned that too. If you're hitting it off with someone, well, then maybe we'll make it.
Instead of sliding in the DMs, you could slide on my shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
And shout out to Tanner, by the way, because he just took his first trip overseas, or his first
His first
airplanes.
airplane trip ever. Yeah, to
Really?
Barcelona.
Wow.
Yeah.
He went to
That was
Barcelona.
his first plane trip ever,
Yeah.
and it was overseas. Wow. that's
He
That's
he
wild,
flew to
though.
Chicago and then Chicago out to
Yeah.
Barcelona.
He took that flight while we were in LAX. So
And then he
Man, there you go, Tanner.
went Rome back.
crazy. Yeah.
Not a bad first trip.
Oh yeah.
Right. Dogs and Catos 164 said, I would just let them sleep on me to keep the peace unless they are drooling on me.
No, no.
Just to
couldn't
keep
do
the
it.
peace. Yeah, I don't know
No,
about that.
I didn't keep any peace on that scooter on the way back. If you
No,
know.
you didn't.
No.
Ramp Force 1 says, it depends. If it's a kid, I don't mind. It's a little bit different, but depends on how old the kid is, I guess. HexRS 54, a cute girl, have a nice nap.
That's what I mean. And hottie
Yeah.
with a body. We'll talk.
Pal's mom 1, which is my mom. Shout out, mom.
Oh, what up,
So,
Paige's mom?
She said, I'm not anyone's pillow. I'm always hot anyway, and this would be unacceptable.
I ain't your pillow.
Yeah, I agree.
Straight up.
Yeah. MBG Aviation said, it really depends on who it is, how creepy they are, etc.
What's up, Matt?
So, yeah, I agree with
Looks
that.
like we're all on
too.
the same page here.
But,
We're down for it. We're not. Who knows?
yeah. So that was it for the responses to that one. Now And obviously, I think we all kind of stated that we're on the same page as far as shoving them off. That was my instantaneous reaction as soon as that head hit my shoulder. Like, ugh.
I wouldn't necessarily shove. I would hopefully like keep the peace in regards to like maybe, gently like, slowly start with a nudge and then maybe go to a shove if we need to.
That's what I did. I kind of just like did a little shimmy with
shimmy.
the shoulder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
exactly. That's kind of
We'll
what it was.
gradually go to a shove if we need to, but I'm not going to go there first.
Full on WWE move.
Right,
like.
right.
Nah, bro, I'm going to return it. I'm going to put my
I think that's something you might do though.
No, absolutely
For
not.
someone who hates it, they're just going to counter it by going back on them.
See how you like it.
Like, you like this? Do you like this? Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah, but I was prepared to call over the flight attendant if it kept happening. Be like, hey, I need to move. This guy keeps falling asleep on me, and I'm uncomfortable. So,
Right.
unfortunately, would have maybe resulted in a middle seat, but
I would have said harassment. Just change it up on them. This is harassment.
right.
You're invading my space.
You are in my bubble.
My bubble is bursted.
So, yeah, again, I do think we are in agreement
Yeah.
across the board. So, well, on that note, this is a very long episode, and thank you for everybody who's been listening to this episode.
Yes,
If you're still with us at this point, shout out to you.
Shout out,
Exactly.
Please,
This has been an action-packed episode for sure.
like, subscribe, share with your pets
And your corgis.
friends.
Shout out to
Exactly.
Henry.
The loaf.
The Exit Row mascot.
Henry, we love you.
Yeah. So, Paige, how can we reach you on the Instagrams?
Hey, real quick.
Oh.
Before the handle turn, you guys are going to be at Airliners in Kansas City.
Oh, that's
Oh, yeah.
So depending on when this comes out, it's either already happened. I'm assuming it's probably happened by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
But either way, you two are going to be in Kansas City.
That's correct. We're going to Kansas City this weekend for airline video.
So if you see them, say hello.
Airliners International. Yep.
I'll be there in spirit. You guys have a good time.
And
Premonition
then,
John will be there.
Yeah.
And Jet Set
Jet
Shirt.
Set shirts.
We're gonna be there
We're all
at the
time
booth.
biggest supporters. Yep. And then next week on the 4th of July, me and my dad are taking a road trip to Colorado, SS Park to do some off-roading and exploring. So,
Shout out to your dad.
yep.
That had nothing to do with aviation.
Yeah, I know. I was like, that was totally.
It's going to be a trip though.
That we're not going to talk about because he didn't fly. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Wow,
Jeez. Okay. Again.
And where's the plane
Back to
involved?
your-
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sure there will be.
You'll be, yeah.
It's
It
going
was
to
a
happen
joke.
somewhere.
Relax.
All right. Back to your Instagram handle.
So you're welcome, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. You can reach me at Oma_spotter_page and my travel buddy adventures with Aileron.
Justin.
Okay. Spotting.omaha.
Wow. And you can follow me, Photography by Adama D, on the Instagram. You can check us out at the Exit Row Pod on Instagram. Again, please like, subscribe, share, and to let everybody know about us. And shout out to everybody, all our new listeners,
And Randall.
and Randall, and shout out to Redway. If you know, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Randall, check.
Which we're coming up on a year, too.
And we saw Randall. Oh, by the way, we also all went to the College World Series, Game 3, and we saw Randall. So again,
did.
shout out to Randall again. So, all right, for us three here in Omaha, Nebraska, we like to say, see ya.
Bye.